All righty, hey there, Epic investors. It's Matt from Epic Real Estate, where we show people how to invest in real estate with an emphasis on retiring early. So today I want to talk about how war impacts real estate. And you may be wondering about the dramatic thumbnail, right? Maybe a little insensitive, I don't know, maybe a little aggressive, or is it too soon? I don't know. But I do have two specific reasons for it. And I promise you, neither of them are likely what you're thinking, okay? And I'll get to it. But if this is your first time here, really glad that you found us. If you like what you hear, go ahead and hit the subscribe button before you go. And if this is not your first time here, welcome back. And thank you for sharing this with your friends and family. You're the absolute best for doing that. So thanks again. By the way, I'm broadcasting for the very first time in my brand new office. Still a few things to do. I'm not sure how the sound's going to be. You guys can let me know. It already sounds kind of echoey, so I'm going to have to fix that. But anyway, welcome to my new office. Anyway, so let's go back to this. Why the dramatic thumbnail? A lot going on in the world today, right? Well, the first thing is to get your attention. But it's not necessarily me that wants your attention. It's YouTube that does. They want your attention much more than I do. And the dirty little secret around YouTube is it rewards content creators for clickbait, meaning the more people that click on a video, the more people their algorithm is going to show it to. So essentially, YouTube encourages clickbait. So it's a fun fact. But that brings me to the second reason, and this one is much more important. Second, yeah, it got your attention, but it incites fear, and people are attracted to fear. And you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff like that. And, I've already seen a bunch of it today. You're probably going to see it over the next coming weeks. You're going to see pictures like this. You're going to see headlines. You're going to see quotes, all alarming stuff to get your attention. And that's why I'm pointing this out. You see, during a crisis like this, you want to be really careful about what you feed your mind with, right? I mean, I saw it happening all morning, and no news channel was immune. They're all guilty of it. Yes, even your favorite one. Social media as well. If you're on Twitter, oh my gosh, I saw World War III probably 1,000 times. I saw it all over the place. And that can be scary, and that can incite fear. And I just want to kind of put some of you at ease if I can. I'm no war expert. I'm no macroeconomics expert, but I've been walking this earth for 5+ decades. And I've got a little bit of life experience. I've seen stuff like this happen. I've made some mistakes. And I just wanted to share with you that type of wisdom and what you should really be focused on, and not to get paralyzed like so many people are right now. First of all, when it comes to world war, we're not in a world war. We are not. You're going to hear that a lot, but we are not in a world war. We're not even in a war. And the conflict taking place isn't even happening here on our continent. It's a concern for sure, but it's nothing for us to ignore, but we need to keep it all in perspective. So you have to really protect your mind, right? The news and the social media, they're coming after your attention, and they're going to do whatever they can to get it. And you might starting to like come to your senses, maybe even at this very moment, and starting to realize that. But make sure you don't forget it long after this video is over, right? Protect your mind, and because your mindset during a crisis like this is really important. Even more so are the actions that you take as a consequence of your mindset. So I'm going to give you some things to do to pull you through this and make sure that you stay productive and you continue to improve your situation. But let's do this first. Let's look at how war impacts real estate, how it impacts the market, and how it impacts real estate investors. And if you have that type of information with you, there might be a little bit more clarity on what there is for you to do for your situation. All right. So I'm going to look at a little bit of the stock market for a second. This is a real estate channel, not the stock market channel. I do have a few little mutual funds and stocks, but nothing significant. But the reason I'm going to show you something real quickly with regard to the stock market is because typically when the stock market is doing good, the real estate will be doing well also. And also the thing about the stock market that we want to look at, it's live, and it fluctuates as when news breaks at the moment. Real estate because of the 30, 45-day closing process, it can be a lagging indicator of what's actually going on. And our mind and our imaginations can get a hold of us, and we can have these doomsday type scenarios when we really have no idea what is actually happening. Okay, so here I'm going to show you this image right here. This has been this one here. All right, so this has been circulating for a little while on the last couple of weeks here on the internet and social media. But you can see what you're looking at here you're looking at the Vietnam War up in the top left, the Gulf War, the Afghanistan War, the Iraq War, and the Crimean crisis. And that line of demarcation, that dotted line that goes vertical in those graphs, that's when the actual invasions happened. And then you can see the red line is the actual stock market. So in the Vietnam War, we had a nice little dip because we knew we were going to war. And then once the actual war began, look what happened after the fact. The stock market continued to improve. You look at the Gulf War, on just leading up to Invasion Day, we had this nice little drop down. And as soon as the invasion had started, the market bounced right back up. And then again in the Afghanistan War, almost the exact same thing. And you can see the same thing in the Iraq War, almost the exact same thing. We have a nice dip leading up to the invasion. Once the invasion happens, the market actually rebounds, right? Then right here in the Crimean crisis, the most recent one, for sure. So the whole thing is to buy the invasion, right? And then as an investor, that's what we're looking at. And I understand that there's a lot of I guess just misfortune. I'm a little bit of a loss of words because I can't even imagine if this was happening on our soil, what we'd be talking about, what we'd be going through right now. So my heart is out for the Ukrainian people. I know they don't want it. And based on everything I saw this morning, the Russian people themselves don't want it. So it's the leaders that are having their issues. But as we have to still have our livelihoods, and those that care about us, we have them that are depending on us, and we have to perform. We can't curl up into a little ball and go hide somewhere. We have to look at the reality of what's going to happen, or at least take as much information and educate ourselves so we can make some good decisions going forward. Stuff that's not fear-based type decisions. All right, so here's this is what we've been seeing, right? Or excuse me, this is what we've seen in the past and how the stock market reacts. And very much the real estate market reacts in somewhat the same way. So if we go here and we look at what happened today, this is the Dow Jones, okay? And then right here was kind of when the news broke as far as Russia invading Ukraine, and we dropped here. And just through the day, we almost bounced all the way back up. In fact, if I just look at the 1 day, we ended the day, the Dow Jones ended the day in the green. And then if we look at the S&P 500, it was deep red. I don't know how early you were up this morning, but it went down really deep right here, this first thing this morning, and then boom, bounced right back up. And then here we are with the NASDAQ chart. I mean, I don't think anyone was predicting this yesterday. Well, I guess if you had seen this before, you probably could have made somewhat of a prediction like that. But did we really believe it was going to happen? It was going to happen so fast. Well, it certainly happened with the NASDAQ. And then if Bitcoin went to ended up in the green. In fact, Bitcoin is almost back up to its 5-day high. It's rebounded really, really well. So as I'm showing that with you, it's not all bad news as far as our finances and our economics, right? This is how the market has initially reacted. Now there's tomorrow, and then there's the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So that all remains to be seen. But the real question is, was this the invasion of our time that we're looking at, right? I mean, it appears as such, but there's a lot of questions to be answered, right? How serious is this going to get? How long is this going to last? We don't know. But based on everything that I've heard and seen today, and I'm not an expert by any means. If you've been watching TV and flipping through the channels like I have, you probably know as much as I have. But based on everything I've seen and heard today, the actual aggressive fighting, the actual war, going to last a few days, maybe a week. And then Russia will install their own leadership and will strive to the Russian the Russian leadership will try to get back the Ukrainian people back to their normal way of life. So then now that Russia is in control, at least for now, that's the short-term goal for Putin. Now what he's going to do next, that remains to be seen. But President Biden has woke up this morning, had some good meetings, and put some new sanctions in place. And as I'm understanding it, it's a very sensitive issue because we haven't done the best job at, maintaining our independence. And I'm not going to get political by any means. I don't think this is the time for it. This is something that we could definitely unite over. The whole strategy, we could have done this, we should have voted this way, he should have done that, and whatever it may be, that's all in the past. We have to focus on what's happening now, right? So I was actually, for the very first time, was rooting very hard for President Biden to make a good speech this morning. And Biden was Biden this morning, but he's certainly been worse, and it actually gave me a little bit of relief. And I think that's where the market started to rebound as well, because I think the market had the same sentiment. Okay, so President Biden has put the sanctions in place to slow Putin down a little bit. Hopefully it ends up deterring him. And then we've got a united NATO, more united than it's ever been, as he says. So it looks like for once, we're not going to be the only dog in this fight. And as bad as this is, and as bad as this thing could get, I'm not panicked. And you can't be either, right? You have yourself that's depending on you. You have your friends and your family is depending on you. You can't allow yourself to get panicked over essentially nothing so far for us. For the most part, fear, it's not a useful emotion in this day and age of man's evolution, right? Certainly fear can be useful in life or death situations, whether we're being followed down a dark alley by someone that we don't know, or we're in the jungle and being chased by wild animals. Certainly fear kicks into action and can certainly save us. Close to being into something like that. So you got to protect for fear. And here's what happens, because if you allow yourself to get fearful, fear causes irrational decisions and irrational actions. And there was a saying when I was in the Marine Corps during boot camp, they would really test you, and they'd push your emotions, and then you have to make these important decisions really quickly. And they always would point out, when emotions rise, intelligence falls. So keep that in mind. When emotions rise, intelligence falls. So you got to keep your emotions in check. And then you want to avoid a fearful defense. And essentially you want to embrace confident offense. Because during times like this, a crisis like this, people like to pull back and they like to hold on tight to their resources. They don't want to let go, and they curl up in a little ball and they wait for the storm to blow over. And then once it seems clear, they kind of poke their head up and look around a little bit. And then they're like, okay, let's go and we'll get back. And really, in hindsight, I've been through that several times in my life. I wish I wouldn't have done that, because there was no reason to stop. And for the most part, people are focused on what's happening, and it paralyzes them. So something I always say to myself that really helps is, rather than focusing on what's happening, focus on what you want to have happen. That's where the focus needs to be. And so us as investors, real estate investors, we got to keep our businesses and we got to keep our assets performing. And really the real enemy that we got to pay attention to, and it's going to kind of an indirect enemy of this so far, that could change for sure. I'm not making light of this by any means. But the real enemy, or an ally, depending on how you look at it, is really inflation. We've been dealing with inflation already leading up to this. And then if the supply chain is going to be further interrupted, inflation could take off even more, because there's less goods for the money that we have to spend, and that causes prices to go up. So people are pulling back from, they're cutting their expenses. They're going to watch them and be very careful with their money. They're pulling back from risk on assets, like your growth stocks. And they're investing in risk off assets like commodities, gold, wheat, oil, as those things tend to do well with inflation and uncertainty. So that's likely a smart decision to pursue these types of risk off assets, but you don't want to stop, right? You don't want to just, roll up into a little feeble position and kind of hopefully somebody comes and protects you or saves you. No, you got to take responsibility for your situation and those that depend on you, they're counting on you. And so for real estate though, where does that fall into the investment off investment, or is this a risk on investment? Well, I'd say real estate is viewed by many as a risky asset. Most people will say it's very risky, right? Oh, just wait till the market crashes and you're going to be out on your butt. So most people view this as a risk on asset. And that's how the layman looks at it when they've got tunnel vision on real estate's value, only focused on appreciation. It's essentially a gamble. That can be a risky bet for sure. Although I don't think it is going into the next decade or so. I think appreciation is almost guaranteed. We might go up or down a little bit along the way, but I think it's almost guaranteed. But that's not the point. The more educated real estate investor focused on real estate's other profit centers is going to place more emphasis on the income that real estate produces. As real estate's value up and down with inflation, so does its income. So let me show you this here real quickly. I pulled these charts here. And then, so if we look over time, this is from 1906 all the way up to 2020. So the blue line represents the real value, the nominal home prices of real estate. And then what this orange line represents is the inflation adjusted home price. And you can see how that orange line is either flat, because that's hedging against inflation, so it's maintaining the real estate's value, or it's rising up with it when it rises. So just by owning real estate, you're hedged against inflation. So that's commonly known. But what most people aren't really are considering is when we go into the income real estate produces. So this light green line is the real estate net operating income that you can see right here, right? Is this line here. And then the dark green line is the consumer price index, represents basically our inflation meter, right? And you can see that they're going up at the almost exact same pace. And even the net operating income is going up and up and up, right? It's starting to separate. It's actually outperforming inflation. So right there between the value of real estate and the income of real estate, when it comes to inflation, it's really the best investment that you've got, the best option you got out there. So you can't stop, okay? It's not time to sell your real estate. Please do not sell your real estate because you think you're going to need to be liquidating, get the cash. Don't do that. And then further, what you might have noticed, maybe not, but this came from a New York Post. This is from February 1st. And I had probably 30 different headlines I could have chosen for it. I just picked the one that was kind of easy to read and kind of said the story the best. But it says U.S. rent prices are the highest in decades, and they aren't coming down. So that is kind of goes in alignment with this chart right here. The rents are not coming down. I live here in Las Vegas, and we moved here a couple years ago, and we rented our house first. And when we rented our house first just to see if we wanted to stay here, if we were going to like it, and we absolutely did. And so we went when our lease was up after 2 years. We went out looking for another house or another place to live, because I've always believed in renting my primary residence. That's always what I believed in. And I've just let my investment properties pay my rent. It always allowed me a nicer lifestyle and for a much lower price. But we went out and we started looking around, and rents had increased so much that it actually became cheaper on a monthly basis for us to actually buy a house. The mortgage was cheaper than the rents. And the point being is rents are going up. I think I was going to make another point there, but it escaped me real quickly. It's tough playing producer and being the, what do you call it? The talent at the same time, and then reading the things over here. And let's see what we got over here. Don't forget how they changed how to calculate CPI. Yeah, they change it all the time, don't they? Just to make it look better. The reason they change it is because they don't want you to know as bad as it is. Right? What's this say here, Eddie? Huge increase in leases being paid late or not at all. I don't know if that's absolutely true. I would love to see that information. If I were to, here, I'll pull this up. This is totally impromptu, and who knows what it says right now. But let's see. think it's called Rent Tracker. Let's see what we got here. Here it is. All right, let me share this with you real quick. And I have no idea what it's going to say. I haven't been here in a while, so maybe you're right, and I'm perfectly okay with that if you are. But if you look at this is the Rent Tracker. This is the National Multifamily Housing Council. Okay, here we go. So if we look at here we are in December. Do we got something more recent? Usually they're right on the money. Okay, looks like they stopped in the, let's see. Okay. Oh, updated January 2022. Okay, we'll go to there in a second, but let's look at this for now. So as you can see, this shows the Rent Tracker weekly results, and these are what percentage of rents are paid by the 6th of the month. So you can see it's about 80% all the way across. So like we just looked at December. In 2019, it was 83.2%. In 2020, it's 75%. So we had COVID, right? So it dropped a little bit. And then 2021, we went up a little bit because we've kind of come out of COVID. That's what most people think. And they're kind of looking at this like, oh my gosh, look at all the people that were late on rent because of COVID and the eviction moratorium and all that type of stuff, right? But this is week ending by the. So if we come all the way here, now these are rents paid by the end of the month, what's paid in full by the end of the month. And we went all the way from the 80s up into the 95s, right? So we got 95, 93, 92. So not a big significant difference. So a lot of people thought that the eviction moratorium was have a big impact on rents being paid. But it really didn't. I mean, certainly people not being able to pay their rent is a problem, but it wasn't a direct correlation with COVID. It wasn't a COVID problem. It wasn't an eviction moratorium problem. But let's go ahead and look at this real quickly. The most recent one, I said, no, they have to update the actual website is probably what it is. Let's see if I can do this real quickly. And see if this pops up easily. And we'll check it out, see if you're right or not. Open up. There we go. Oh, opening down here. Okay, we'll get to it though. But I'll tell you a little story about when it comes to real estate, when it comes to business, is and it's totally a coincidence, or maybe it's ironic that a good friend of mine, he went over to Russia. This was about 9-10 years ago. Like I said, that's the ironic part, right? The ironic part. That it was Russia, but he went over there and he got to talk about real estate to a big group of people, and he talked to a lot of people. And what he found was he learned so much when he was over there, when they were talking about the fall of Russia, right? When the USSR fell, that really the only people that pulled through, the only people that survived, and it wasn't easy for them, but the people that pulled through were business owners and real estate investors. So that is a big clue. And it's just a coincidence that this is a Russian topic today. But keep that in mind, that you want to be owning real estate or owning a business. And that's why I do what I do, because I chose the best of both worlds. I made a business out of my real estate investing. All right. All right. So let me go over here real quickly. If you got any questions, let me know. Louis, you disagree? That's perfectly okay. You can sell. Hey, Louis disagrees. I got no problem with that, right? No problem at all. Let's see. I sold one last year at this time and selling another with close in 30 days, right? I mean, if you've owned your properties for a long time, there's a lot of profit, right? You've experienced a lot of appreciation. There's something you might be able to do with that. What I would suggest that you do, or caution you, I'm not going to make any suggestions. You can do what you want to do with your money, but be careful not to just go ahead and cash out your real estate and then just go spend it. Income producing assets is really what's going to protect you from the future. It's going to protect you from inflation. Okay. Once you pull that cash out, I just hope you have something better to do with it, is what I'm trying to say. Now, if you got to feed yourself and you got to keep a roof over your head, then by all means do that. Let's see. Let's stop this share and let's go to a new share here. Again, I have no idea what this is going to say. Let's check it out. That's the calendar. What's this called? That's a rent payment tracker. Here we go. All right. Oh, nope, that's not it. That was actually my notes for this meeting. try again. It was Microsoft Excel. Is this the right one? There it is. Okay. So let's go here. See how I zoom here. Okay. All right, here we go. So if we looked at November, December, it didn't give us January. All right, data collected. Okay, looks like they haven't updated it for 2022. I thought it was going to be fancy and show you how that all works, but oh well. If you're saying that things are going a little bit late and more people are paying later and later, maybe. But based on the data and what everyone's saying around with the eviction moratorium, I kind of doubt it. Might be a little bit, but I doubt it. That's going to be significant. All righty. Hello, Christopher. Hello, Letitia. Congrats to you guys. You've got that big deal that you were telling me about last time. So good job. And then, all right. In this case, I'm locking in retirement and eliminating debt. You could do that too. Just because, and that takes it down a whole other rabbit hole. I wanted to really focus on what's going on in the current events right now. So not for you to go ahead and be trapped and seduced by, I am sure, all of the fear mongering that's going to become following. Now let's take the information and evaluate it for there's what's so, and then there's what you make it mean. And just be careful what you make it mean. Alrighty? Perfect. So I'll go ahead and that wraps up the show. If you like what you heard, if you found this episode valuable, who else do you know that might? There's a really good chance that you might know someone else who would. And when their name comes to mind, please share it with them and ask them to click the subscribe button when they get here, and I'll take great care of them. Alrighty. God loves you, and so do I. Health, peace, blessings, and success to you. I'm Matt Theriault. Living the dream. Take care.